Welcome, Hearties. We're the official Hearties admins of bringing you Heart to Hearties. And I'm Lori from Mobile, Alabama.
I'm Marg from Southern California.
And we are joined today by two guests. Heartie Gail Keiko from California. Gail loves a good mystery, just like I do. So we thought she was the perfect guest to join us today to try to crack open the mystery of who shot Lucas. Welcome, Gail.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So glad you came back. And episode 7 from Sunday night was written by Paul Redford, and we're so happy to have Paul back with us today. Welcome back, Paul.
Great to be back. Thank you.
Your episode came up really quickly.
I know. Yeah, I was very busy at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think originally this episode was going to be a little later. And then, for various reasons and to sort of mark where we are in the sort of arcing story, we moved it up a little bit. So, but it was fine. We're always working on all the episodes all at once. So I think it's okay that mine came up. Both mine came up in a very short time.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, last night's episode was titled Facing the Music, and it was directed by Stacey Harding. Gail, did you have a favorite scene in last night's episode?
Wow, there's so many great ones, but if I had to just pick one, I loved the scene where Florence and Ned were dancing and serenading each other behind the counter in the mercantile. I loved how Ned used the song and dance to decrease her anxiety that she was displaying earlier in that scene. It was just so sweet.
Oh,
they are adorable. They really
are adorable. Yeah, I mean, I hope you see how on our show couples really do hold each other and take care of each other, and it's just a great relationship, going back to their whole sort of wedding sequence, which is still one of my favorite. I think that was that season 7. Was that?
I think so.
Yeah, and the way it's kind of sustained and grown, and
they were,
the actors play so well off each other. I mean, they're so yeah.
And it's so funny because earlier, Florence was so excited and Ed was reluctant to raise his hand until she shot him a look.
Yep.
And then after that, it was Ned going full force. Decreasing her anxiety, offering to loan people money. It was him after her.
I love that. And he shot it very well, Ned leaning in and whispering to Florence and, how they can help out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love their relationship.
They've become the couple we didn't know we needed in the early seasons. I don't know if I would have put them together in the early seasons, but
I know, isn't that great? Yeah. Well, that's the joy of an extended. You can't do it in a movie. You can do it in a TV series. You can sort of just watch how your characters and your actors develop, and then you start to see all these connections that you hadn't seen there before. So that's a great example. Yeah.
They add so much to the scenes. Well, Paul, did you have a scene that stood out for you last night as the writer?
Oh boy, that's I don't want to play too many favorites. I too love I loved all the musical scenes, and I really loved, and this is one I didn't really get to see till I saw the final cut. The choir singing to the telephone, I just think is so well staged, and to me, that's one of the things that you can take out when you're doing a whole montage of the entire show. It was just so perfectly caught what makes Hope Valley, and all our characters in front of that old phone. I loved it, and I think that was an addition to the script, actually, quite later on in the process. Originally, they were just going to all gather in the church, and Tom was going to hear them, and in fact, I think originally Tom heard them as he was walking by the church with Elizabeth back from Jack's grave, and that led to a conversation about the choir festival and everything. But this played so much better. Yeah.
So was that
I like it too that
written?
Go ahead, Lori.
I was gonna say, was it actually written, or was that a director's choice to film it like
No,
that?
it was actually written. It was written.
Okay.
But it was among the rewrites. So and I don't know why. I think it kind of increased the urgency of we're in a deadline. We have to You know, it's coming down to, you want the big moment of, you know, do we pass the audition or not? And you want to, and you know, that was a way of playing it in front of having Sweeney hear it and not just Tom. And so it worked out really well.
Very good, yeah.
Well, Rhonda Wells of Greenville, South Carolina, was among the Hearties who was thrilled to see the journal writing coming back last night. I don't know whether there's been journal writing that's been written in and then in post gets taken out, or whether you're just sprinkling in now and again. But we always love to see Elizabeth.
Good. Yeah,
and
we
her
love it
writing.
too. It can be, it's a really useful device when you're bridging a big time gap, or when you have to catch the you know, the audience up on a lot of different things. I will say originally the very first episode of this season had a lot of journal writing from Elizabeth to sort of cast back and sort of catch you up with the shooting and what happened to Lucas. But then we felt it was much better to kind of go in sort of real time and, you know, have, you know, barely any gap between the last season and this
Yeah,
season, and
and
have her
see it,
have them
right.
you know, and see it in while it's happening rather than looking back over what happened over the last few months. But
And her writing,
Mhm.
her writing included that really beautiful sentiment. At what point did I stop feeling only grief and began feeling gratitude instead? So what a gorgeous way of her expressing it. And it just felt like, you know, she has integrated this Jack's loss kind of into her life in a very healthy way. Is that what you all were
Yes, and
signifying?
that was really the best way to kind of sum up where we wanted everyone to be in this episode. Because, you know, there's no one else, maybe Rosemary, but there's very few other characters that Elizabeth can confide where she is in her feelings about Jack. And also, you know, and she's not so explicit about it, but how it is keeping her open, letting her open herself to her feelings about Nathan.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
journal is the one place she can do that.
Mhm.
And I think if you can see in the way that, you know, Erin is playing it, she is not in mourning anymore. She is very much, you know, embracing life, and it's a very lively season. So, and you know, a lot of the music sort of, I don't know, embodies that. You know, this is a season that has so much more music in it because she's letting that kind of joy back into her life. And the
Mhm.
whole town is reflecting it, you know, after all these dark times. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't
Yeah.
feel, you know, on such a heavy day, you know, Jack's birthday and honoring
Yes.
him at the gravesite, you know, it set the tone for it. You know, Hearties were still crying, but
Yeah. Oh,
we
yeah.
weren't
Me too.
crying quite as much
Yeah.
as we
I mean, we knew it would be very, I think it's the first time we've seen little Jack at the gravesite, I think.
I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
it is. Yes. Yeah.
So,
But I noticed they're
mhm.
calling him Jack a lot more than Little
Yeah.
Jack.
Yep. Well,
Today.
he's getting bigger.
Certainly is. He
Didn't he
certainly.
look great in that suit? Boy,
Oh, so cute.
that got me kind of teared up.
Well, once again, he had a significant increase in lines and delivered them
Yeah.
beautifully. So we're really seeing Highland
Hmm.
to his own. My goodness. Aaron Miller of St. Louis, Missouri. I just love how many Missourians we have asking
Good.
questions
He
today.
kind of party in there.
I'm from Missouri. Paul is from Missouri. Like they're
Mhm.
coming out of the woodwork, Paul.
Yeah.
This is the first time we have seen Jack's family since his passing, which was, of course, very meaningful to the
Yeah.
Hearties. Why did you feel like this was the right time to bring back a member of the Thornton family?
It's a very good question. I do think it is that moment in the show, and this I think is one reason we moved up this episode, is that now Elizabeth is ready to, you know, be reminded of Jack in a way that doesn't send her backwards, that doesn't pull her down. You know, it's she's in a state of peace, and you know, you can see it on her face when she sees Tom. It's more joy than anything, and you know, and good memories, and also to see how, you know, Tom has changed. You know, people do change, people move on, and I thought he was wonderful in the episode.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
He's so
forgot how much I
handsome.
love
want
his
him to.
voice.
Yes.
He's so handsome, and his voice is, I don't remember his voice being
Isn't
so
that interesting?
beautiful.
Yeah. When we last saw him, he was very much a young man
Yes.
finding his way and confused and, in his brother's shadow. And now he's so centered. And you
Yeah.
really do feel he's had a second chance, which is what we always liked about this episode. Is it a second chance, or is he going to be pulled back to, a past? But by the fact that he's there, and he's there in the presence of his brother's memory and the town that his brother protected, it means so much to him, and it does affect his own. You could say his transformation. He's on the way to the transformation, but this really does kind of affirm that. Yeah.
Well, I just loved the visual of Tom catching the balloons. It was just magical. I loved it. I've rewinded and watched it several times. Was that scripted, or was that director, or?
Originally it was Little Jack laying flowers, and then we changed it to balloons, and then it was either in the script or we found on the set that this could be a moment. Because sometimes when you have a child actor, you don't know if you can trust them with too much,
Right.
staging, but that worked out
Yes.
really well. That's a tribute to the
Oh,
director and the actors. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It really, it just touched my heart. It was really, and then the other thing, Tonya, I think it's Tonya Boussard of Olympia, Washington, noticed this, and I did too. I just loved the Tom taking the flower and putting it in his buttonhole. It was just a beautiful touch.
Isn't he holding it at the end at the train station too? I think he's actually
oh, I missed that.
Oh
Seriously?
yeah, he's
is.
holding it as he's sort of confessing in the train station. So,
Yep.
Fingering it. Oh,
figuring it was kind
beautiful.
of the thing he was going to take with him from Hope Valley, and
Wow.
keeps him in Hope
Little
Valley.
talisman of Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. That's just gorgeous. Okay, so we also got that moment that we had seen in the previews where Nathan says he sympathizes, he knows what it's like to be in Jack's shadow, which of course has a gazillion layers to it. And Elizabeth very quickly affirms him, and it was really sweet, saying that she didn't see him in anybody's shadow. This is a name, Chrissy Mrozak McElhinney of Ellicott City, Missouri, wonders, is that a resolution of what she said to him at the end of season 8, where she kept trying to find Jack in him, or will there be more conversations about that?
There will be more, but you can see how far along they are. But they're not all the way yet. So there's there's room.
So you're saying that there's going to be more conversations about that this season?
Well, how do I phrase that? All I can say is a conversation on those lines and about their relationship, vis-a-vis the memory of Jack will continue.
Okay, very good.
There's a lot more to explore. Both characters are very deep.
Yes.
And have a lot of, past tied up in
yes,
this. It's not going to be resolved in one line. So yeah.
This was frustrating to some Hearties. And I felt like this was just like a little tiptoe into it, but there's a lot more to unpack here.
Yeah, and we really owe a lot more if those two are going to really express what they feel. So
right.
Yeah, again,
I don't think it's even going to be one conversation. I think it's could be multiple. Okay.
And you know what it takes? It takes story. It takes experiencing things together. It's not just talking.
Right.
You have to live some things together first.
Yes, we wouldn't want it. Yeah, we wouldn't want it. We'd want it. We want to see it, not we want to live it, not just perfect.
Now moving on to the mystery. We see Rosemary and Bill working more closely with Nathan. And he flips him some information that Clayton Pike's mother's living in Union City. But then also he cautions them that the Mountie's worried that Hazel Pike didn't have all her faculties. Can you tell us about this setup and how pivotal this lead is going to be?
It'll be very pivotal. I'm kind of curious what the fans thought about Hazel, and how much you can believe her. She is quirky. She does have a funny take on things. So this is the fun thing in a mystery. How much do you trust a certain witness? And how much do you think you can believe what they're saying? How much she seems to believe what she's saying, but we'll see. So yeah. So it's not a straightforward solution to anything. She gives us a lot of leads that we will have to follow up.
I'm guessing there's truth buried in there underneath that motherly love and quirkiness.
Well, that's the thing. It's all colored by mother love.
Yeah,
I mean, she genuinely believes her son's innocent.
Yeah.
So, and you know, what mother wouldn't? But and she does give us a little glimpse of Clayton, who you are going to see. So you know, keep that in mind as the mystery goes forward. Yeah.
Well, Bill believes her, so
Yeah.
that was
It's
definitely
Mountie.
an endorsement. But I think Hearties were all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
Some were asking, "Is she really his mother?" You know, to
Oh well, okay.
There was a range of
Yeah. No,
of
it's
how
not
much
so
to
simple
trust
that,
her.
you know,
Yeah.
she doesn't have the key to everything. She's seeing things from her point of view. And also notice that it's Bill and Rosemary, you know, experiencing her testimony, and they're going to have different views of it. So that's why I love that the two of them are on this case, you know, and Nathan is there too now. But
Right.
I also love this device that because, you know, we had Bill retire, he's free to do some things kind of extra, not extra legal, but extra Mountie, extra, you know, unofficial, you know, go around things that Nathan isn't allowed to do as a, you know, straight true blue Mountie. So yeah.
I like how he said he was just an interested party. He didn't say he was
Yes,
a
yes, and he
Mountie or-
frames everything, and
Yeah.
you know, it could, you know, you might, but yeah, and obviously, you know, all three of them are going to get much more involved as the case goes forward. So
Well, Nathan is going to pull some strings to get Clayton Pike brought to Hope Valley as part of his prisoner transfer.
yep,
Is
yep.
Nathan putting himself at risk getting involved like this, especially
Yes, but
Hargraves being the one who closed the case?
Mm-hmm. But well, you'll see. He is putting himself at risk, but he's doing it for friends he can trust. And he himself has, as we've seen from the very beginning, has his own questions about the case.
Mhm.
But again, he can only go so far as he's allowed to go, as you know, as a you know, participant in the task force and a Mountie on the case. So he is kind of leaving the door open for Rosemary and Bill to do what they need to do. But you know, he's just as dedicated as they are to getting the truth. But he's working within a different set of limits. Yeah.
It was so interesting that you had Rosemary and Clayton's mother Hazel bond over their children being miracle babies. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, I don't know. I just love it's part of Rosemary's superpowers, I think, to have that kind of empathy and to tune in to others in a way that Bill doesn't necessarily do. And for her to pick up on that. And I do think it was key to get Hazel to trust them and trust her when, you know, Hazel's obviously been shut out by everybody else. So it's also just a good reminder that, you know, Rosemary is a mother now, and how that's changed her and made her, I don't know, so much more, I would say, self-sacrificing than she used to be. You know, and can connect to anyone whose child is in distress, like Hazel's.
Yeah, it's super interesting to think who is going to be the one to, you know, are Bill and Rosemary going to talk to Pike together? Is
We'll see.
Lucas?
I can't give it. You know, you have to watch. You have to watch.
I know. Is Lucas going to see Pike? Like, yeah. I mean, how far is this going to go? It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, and Hazel really wanted somebody to hear her. You could tell she was.
That's
I mean,
it. She needed to be heard.
She was immediately there in Hope Valley.
Yep.
Yeah.
At you know, and Rosemary, in spite of herself, at Rosemary's instigation, she didn't even really realize. But yeah. No, I love that scene when Hazel just gets out of the car. It's also who Hazel is. She's not gonna, you know, she's not gonna play by the rules.
This is going to be interesting to see
Yeah.
how it plays out with Clayton. I'm anxious to see this. So,
Well, and
well,
is she going to be taken down by her own unreliability? I mean, is
uh,
anything, she's so, I mean, this is the lady, yeah, she's quirky, as Rosemary said. And there was a Heartie who said, Nancy Bauman Ratva of Fulton, Ohio. She said she just loved it when Rosie said, Hazel's quirky. She went home to feed her cats.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's one of my favorite lines. So
yes.
I don't know
Awesome.
who to credit that one for, but it's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, come on, take credit for it, Paul.
I'll take credit for it. I'll also
Please.
take credit. You can always write lines like that for Pascal, and you know that
Oh.
they'll, because she can
Deliver.
she can nail those.
You can see the disdain on her face.
Just her own reaction to it. It's like, well, okay.
Well, speaking of mothers and babies, it was interesting that Tom thought Faith was a mom. Faith and Lily are getting really close.
Yes.
Seems so at ease with their relationship with Auntie Faith. Hearties are curious where this is going. Are we going to see a happy ending with this season?
I classified. I have to just say keep watching, but I'm
Trying,
glad they're
Hearties,
picking up
trying.
on it, and I do think it's a tribute to both of the actors. That I just love the the qualities we're seeing in Faith here in this season. With
Me
with
too.
Rosemary. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I think there's just it's a lightness that we haven't seen in her.
Yeah.
A playfulness, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
It's really sweet.
I loved it seeing around Tom too. Just to
oh, there was
Yeah.
definitely a spark there.
Oh yeah.
That said a
The
little
Hearties
spark.
are picking up on it.
I don't think there was a little spark. I think it was a big spark.
Well, let's keep watching.
I think it's a big
I'm rooting for
spark.
it. Now, some of it we can't all do this season, so I'll warn you,
Oh.
but,
Oh.
we saw it too.
Yeah.
We definitely
Come
saw
on,
it.
12.
Yeah,
Come on,
okay.
12.
We're here forever,
Yeah.
whenever.
Yeah.
We're here.
No, I would love to have Tom back. So
Oh yeah,
we will see.
He's so
Yeah.
good.
love that actor. He was so good.
Floyd
Great.
Jones is so good. Well, now we're going to move on to Lucas, who's really conflicted and increasingly more desperate to get this resort built.
Mm-hmm.
And the oil company in Benson Hills now has gone bankrupt, gone belly up. And so that means more loss of jobs with the merged cities.
Right.
So, and he's had no luck drumming up anybody to build this resort. So Heartie Nancy Ross of New Jersey believes Montague is behind everything. The shooting, the rumors, maybe even Maisie's obstinance to this thing. So no matter how desperate he is, why would Lucas even consider working with Montague? Or is Lucas calling Montague to let him know he's on to his shenanigans?
Oh, very good. Very good questions. People are following the story closely. All I can say, in the interest of keeping the mystery going, is you haven't seen the last of Montague. And just stay tuned. Stay tuned. You haven't seen, also I'll be honest, I don't think you've seen Lucas hit his low point yet. There's this whole rule in storytelling screenwriting is basically you get a character up a tree, you throw rocks at him, and then you get him down out of the tree. That's the shape of every story. And we're not getting Lucas down out of his tree yet. And there's a lot more rocks to get thrown at him. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was slamming that phone around. He was
It's going to get worse before it gets better, but stay tuned. Yeah.
When he popped off at Edwin, I think that was entirely
deserved. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't they great together? Boy.
That was entirely deserved. I think the Hearties have been waiting for him to be angry with Edwin. So that's
and you'll be able to track Gowan and Edwin too. It's like, okay.
Oh man, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, you love those, coming from West Wing and Madam Secretary stuff. I love scenes of political tension, even if it's in Hope Valley, even if it's in 1920.
Well, that brings us to Edwin and Henry. That whole they're clearly at odds in the governor's inner circle there.
Right.
And Edwin was pushing for them to use some kind of emergency funds to get the resort off the ground. But Henry was very much against all that. So I was fuzzy on this too. Can you help us understand what's going on here?
Well, it's not to get too dry about it, but there's always a conflict between the executive and the legislature in every democracy. You know, the legislature, you know, raises the money, executive spends the money. So Lucas does have executive powers as our kind of fictionalized territorial governor to spend this reserve, which most governments have, but it has to be for an emergency. It has to rise to the level of something that you'd go around the legislature and spend it on your own. And you know, that's up to the discretion of the governor in this case. So Edwin is basically saying, be a little dictatorial. It's important enough. And if you can't get everybody to go along with your plan for whatever, it's important enough that you need to do it. And Gowan kind of rightly points out that no, you are not a dictator. You are, you have to answer to the voters. You have to answer to the legislature. You have to account for this money. And just because, you know, you can't get investors to go along with your scheme for whatever reason, that doesn't give you the rights to spend the people's money, which is very interesting coming from Gowan.
I know,
because Gowan was a
his
dictator.
conscience.
Yeah,
Wow.
look what Gowan did as mayor. Look at the high-handed way he behaved. So I think it's also a reflection of Gowan's transformation and education and his growth as a character, which is why I think it's so valuable this even have Gowan on, you know, have Gowan the angel on Lucas's shoulder if Edwin's the devil. So yeah.
Almost like learn from my mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so those scenes play great to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I confess I hadn't thought about the term white elephant except for White Elephant Christmas Party. I had to like go look it up, like what its real meaning was.
Yeah.
Tell us what a white elephant is.
A white elephant is something that is wildly expensive and you really can't afford it and you really don't need it. So, you know, politics is full of white elephants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think it's a good thing, and then once it's in the door, it's like, where are we going to put this elephant? How are we going to feed this elephant?
Yes.
And does it have to be an albino elephant? It's so special.
Yeah, Henry really,
that's what this resort is turning into. So yeah.
Yeah, he didn't spare words. He laid it out there.
Sherry Belenfant of Nashville is concerned at how quickly Lucas accepted the possibility of Elizabeth moving on from their relationship, to the point that he actually encouraged her to do so. Should we be worried about this?
No, I think it really is part of Lucas's growth. I think it's also part that Lucas is suppressing a lot of things right now. You know, it's the burdens of office. He has huge responsibilities, huge challenges. And I think it's kind of left him open to kind of turning and seeing where his real friends are, which I loved in that scene with Nathan. I think he's really realizing that, you know, when you're in politics and surrounded by so much that's untrustworthy, that Nathan is someone he can trust. And that he does trust Elizabeth to have made the right decision, and for him, and he's on his way to accepting it. But in the meantime, there are so many other sort of big things looming up in front of him that I really do think he's left Elizabeth behind in that sense, that I don't think he has more hopes really there. So
when you talk about the burdens of office, you know, we have a number of Hearties who say, you know, Lucas never even wanted this job, you know, and yet he's a person of free will. I mean, he did elect to pursue it.
He elected to pursue it, and I think in a way Elizabeth always knew him better than he knew himself. She knew that he needed a bigger stage, and she knew that this really was, you know, the show and me, and I think the writers really do believe in this idea of calling and vocation, and there really is. This is his vocation, was not to stay in Hope Valley and be a saloon owning husband to the school teacher. That would not have ultimately made him happy, or made him, you know, or it's not even a case of happiness. It's what you're being called to do, and he really is called to do this. Now, it doesn't make it easy.
No.
and it doesn't, and there's lots of reasons, not to want to do it. But I really do think there's some underlying sense of a bigger purpose with Lucas
Mhm.
that means he has to go through with this.
And that's not to say that he won't have a great love at some point and
Oh,
a
right.
good
Yeah.
grounding, and that because his desire is to have that home base and that,
Right.
and love in his
Yeah.
life and a
It's
family.
all there. But
So,
first he has to respond to that calling to his grand vision.
okay.
He can't kind of park it and go pursue romance or pursue, a past romance or a past relationship.
Mhm.
He has to fully embrace what's in front of him now, which is this big, very difficult job, and and living and working for thousands of people, not just
Mhm.
Hope Valley or not just for one, beloved.
Mhm.
Um,
So interesting. Well, let's move into the choir, more of the choir, which of course became a big conundrum, sadly. We're so relieved that Tom didn't get on that train, that he did the right thing. And the previews suggest that we're going to see some attempt to redeem this con
mhm.
by holding a choir festival in Hope Valley and a fundraiser. But we have some very excited choir members. I mean, Ned and Flo are fully practiced. They're ready to
Yep.
go. I've never
Yep.
seen the teenagers so
Mhm.
over the moon.
Mhm.
Joseph was so touched and thrilled for many. So, and then we have Maisie on top of it all. It looks like her town choir was cheated as well. So, how
Yes,
can
we're gonna see Maisie. Yep.
this end well? How?
Oh, well, because it's, he calls the heart. So yeah, again, we've got to give them some trials and tribulations. I will say that this originally was supposed to be like one episode of, music in the choir, but the story just got so good that we really I think we took we divided it just the right time of Tom kind of coming back for his redemption, and you will see a version of redemption that I think will I don't know. I'm personally really, really looking forward to the reactions to episode 8 and what happens in episode 8. It'll be a lot of fun,
Well, for those Hearties who were at the Hearties family
I was
reunion
gonna say, I mean,
year,
you got a little teaser, you got a glimpse.
yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't quite know what was going on. And then, of course, the other thing that we got a hint of while we were at Hearties family reunion was the change in the Mountie sign, which happened last night. So that
Good
was
for you to pick that up. Okay.
that was a nod to the history
Yes, it really was.
change. Okay.
So much of the show was a tribute to the actual mounted police, and we try and be as accurate as we can with the uniforms and the routines, and yeah, so I was very happy, seeing that.
Yeah, cool.
When I was a kid in Alberta, actually, we would I don't know if you've ever seen the musical Ride.
I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
It's an amazing thing the Mounties do. It's synchronized equitation, I guess, of horse training. I mean, they have some of the best trained horses and horse people in the world. So to see them all do these kind of dances on horses to music, these formations to music, is really impressive. And it's really a tribute to their history. So I'm glad to see that little shout out. And
Yeah, super cool.
no, as I think, and it's Allie Devereaux is a better historian of it all than I am, but I think this was the actual point when the Northwest Mounted Police became the Royal Canadian Northwest Mounted Police.
Yeah, I think I saw Hardy saying last night it happened in 1920, so we're fudging
Yeah,
a little
so
bit on
that I think
maybe by the time it got to Hope Valley, the news didn't travel very quickly.
It's a little well, bureaucracy.
Yeah, right.
It's a while.
Exactly.
And leave it to Bill to be the one who's like, when did this happen?
Yes.
Right.
They're not
Right.
changing the uniforms.
Nobody
Yeah.
told me.
Nope.
Yeah. Aaron Pind of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, was one of several Hearties who were called, and this is amazing, way back when Noah Stanton was being blamed for the coal mine explosion. There was a trial, and there was an inspector named Mr. Sweeney who was mentioned in the trial. He was significant in the trial. Is this a coincidence, or could this music impresario be the one and the same?
Well, I know that we were coming up with different names for somebody who could sound trustworthy, but then turn out to be not so much. And I'm pretty sure that that the writer who pitched Sweeney remembered that I didn't. I did not know the backstory about this, but I think I suspect it's a little Easter egg, and you can consult with some of the senior writers.
Yeah, because he took
But
a
I think that's
bribe.
wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
Took a bribe and lied in the trial. So
yeah. Don't trust Sweeney is the moral of this episode. I don't know if you have Sweeney's in your life, but yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that line, try not to be such a Mountie. It was funny. Was it just her feeling protective of Tom and wanting Nathan to go a little softer, or
I think so. And it's also, Tom himself grew up in the shadow of the Mounties and the Mountie Code and Jack, and it's like, really, and she saw how how Jack himself had his own conflicts with Tom and what that led to. And so I think she means a lot with that line. And I think it's just good and he isn't such a Mountie, as you'll see.
I thought it was funny. It's like, well, she certainly wanted that Mountie when he was like pulling her up on the horse.
Oh,
and then,
we all want our Mountie, but then we don't want too much Mountie. And I think
right. Exactly. So Suzanne Code Lippard this is what I'm saying, it's all Missouri, of Columbia, Missouri, wonders if Tom will offer his blessing to Nathan and Elizabeth.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I mean, he's he, as we can see in this episode, he doesn't have much of a relationship with Nathan in this episode.
Right. Yeah. Something's built there.
We have more to go. So yeah. Yep.
Well, we got an embarrassment of riches in previews last night, and Nathan singing and playing guitar. I mean, with Allie, it's so darling, and he's in the Red Surge, so it kind of gave us a little Captain Von Trapp kind of feeling. Totally cool. It's just really sweet that Elizabeth and Jack were walking along and kind of gave them that moment. Tell us about setting up a little musical father-daughter moment. That's so cool.
Well, we're doing it in drips and drabs, but both Kevin and Aaron are kind of wonderful singers, and I don't think they don't want musical comedy careers. They don't want to be identified as singers over and above their characters, but I just think it's great every time we give them a chance to show that aspect of themselves. And again, it's also, if you look where Nathan and Elizabeth are in their characters, the clouds are parting, things are lifting up, things are getting we're coming out of the grief and the drama and the guilt and everything around that relationship. So there's a lot more room for music. So you'll see that.
Nice. That's really nice. I love it.
Well, next week it looks like Joseph's brother Jacob will finally make it to Hope Valley. But what is going to be a very stressful time? The time there is going to be stressful because Minnie and the family are all wrapped up in this choir festival. Is there anything you can tease us about that important episode for the Canfields?
Otherwise, then you're right. It will be a very important episode. It is one of my favorite episodes for the whole of the Canfields for the whole show. I won't say much more about it than I just love the story of Jacob and the brother and Joseph's brother, and you'll see how it really is at the center of episode 8. So please stay tuned. Yep.
I can't wait to see that play out.
It's so hard to be the guest stars in a show like this, where the characters, all the other actors are so invested in their characters and the audience is invested in them, to come in and make such an impression as he does, as you'll see in episode 8. I think it's a tremendous tribute to the actor, and just, again, it's like Tom. I mean, it's just very happy how it turned out. For doing so much in just a limited amount of time with your character. Yeah.
Can't wait. Is it Sunday already? Can't wait.
Let's bring it on.
Well, today, instead of Heartie Ship, we have brought in our trusty crime board. We thought we'd spend our last moments going over what we know and what we may be able to further surmise about the Who Shot Lucas investigation. Gail, you're the big mystery lover. So tell us what your take is on after last night's episode and the new witness coming forward.
Well, I do love mysteries, and I have to say, Lori, I love your mystery board. I look forward to your updates every time there's an update in the mystery. I think it's
getting very crowded. It's getting crowded.
We're gonna have to like expand it.
The board.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. A little more string here. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
But so after last night's episode, if we are to believe Hazel Pike is a reliable witness, which Bill believes, then Clayton has an alibi. The motive that he was upset with Lucas was debunked because she said he voted for Lucas. Why he would do it? Well, the payment for the surgery seems to coincide timing wise with him taking the fall. And then there was another Montague link with the flowers at the hospital.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yes.
just with those things, it suggests a different shooter, and it's trying to make Montague look more and more like the mastermind or the puppeteer. My thing is that it? Now is it just time to prove it and find the real shooter, or is there more to it? Being that we still have 40% of the season left, if I were reading a mystery book or watching a mystery movie, I'd say there's at least one or two more twists, or just little twists or pivots. And so I have that kind of background. So I have all these questions, like, why did it take 4 months for them to decide they need a fall guy? Were the Mounties getting too close to the actual shooter? And is that shooter too important to Montague to take the fall for him? Maybe.
Yeah, pause there, because that's really interesting. Like, why would somebody have to take why does somebody have to take the focus off of the shooter? Like, if it's not Montague himself, if he hired somebody, like, why does he care that the shooter is,
Why do you put
Very
Mike
good
up
questions,
for it?
guys. I can't answer them, of course, but
Early on,
we're
I like
asking
that
just the
answer.
right questions.
Because early on,
Yeah.
Nathan said that Montague was cleared early. So he doesn't need
Yeah.
a fall guy if he was cleared early. So that's why these kind of questions were coming up. And then I was like, okay, well, what else could it be? I'm like, they dropped the rum runner guy's name.
Casimir Shaw, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, but not a whole lot. So I'm like, I think there's more to that.
I
And
think you're
like,
safe to put
so-
a Casimir Shaw on your board, but I won't tell you what kind of string to draw to Casimir Shaw. But
Okay.
I mean,
I was wondering if
he's
you
in
could
there
go
for a
up
reason.
there.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking, well, as the kids call it, Governor Bouchard's GV, his grand vision, wasn't announced until later. So I was thinking, well, maybe this rum runner is trying to find some legit business to launder his money through, and he's trying to get Montague out of the way. He's getting all the other potential bidders to not bid, but Montague may not be falling for it, so he's trying to get him out of the way for a different reason. There's all these things just spinning in my head. So it's just, I just love how you guys are stringing out this mystery, but it's hard to kind of guess, because as if it was just its own storyline, you can kind of make more guesses. There's more time, but because it's only one story in a series,
Right.
then how intricate could you get?
That's right. Well, you know, we have 12 episodes to unfold it, but as you said, we do have Lucas is involved in lots of stories. So how much of these are connected to the mystery? How much are we going somewhere else with those stories? But like I said, I mean, I'm very impressed with the acuteness of the fans and what you're picking up on. So I won't steer you away from any of them.
And then we've
Just
I
how
know you
bad
may
we
want
we've
more
all
episodes.
heard that
Yeah.
Jeanette's
Question.
coming back. So is she with the rum runner guy, or is, because it seems like all the other bidders are being kind of shied away, and then Montague getting in trouble, then the only two options would be Jeanette's group or what Edwin wants, right?
Right.
So
I
Well,
will
and
say, yeah, there's
I've
a lot
got-
of things. Remember though, Montague may have been cleared by others, but in Bill's mind, Montague was not cleared. In Bill's mind.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
right.
So he
Yeah.
does, so Bill thinks that alibi is hooey.
Mm,
Mhm.
Because he was
it's pretty safe to say that Bill sure
doesn't buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
And
it's
I
interesting
gotta
to watch
check-
Rosemary, because Rosemary is she's also, you know, asking questions, and
Mhm.
Rosemary and Bill aren't necessarily on the same page throughout the mystery, as you'll see. So, yeah.
Well, I
There's
got a
creepy to have the
text
two of them.
from I got a
Mhm.
text from Gail earlier today saying, I was up in the middle of the night and I had this theory.
Oh, I don't want people to lose sleep over it, but
I know.
yeah,
I
okay.
trust me. I think there are some people who are thinking about it quite a lot. So
Well, we
But-
sure were. We put, boy, I'm glad you're seeing all the work we put into this.
did you
Well,
have
By the
anything
way,
else
we
you
had a
wanted
lot
to
of
add,
different
guys?
ways to go. Yep.
Anything else you wanted to add?
I was gonna say I added Wyman Walden and Amos Dixon on there because a lot of Hearties, when with Lucas's flashback, they thought that shrouded figure looked a lot like Amos Dixon.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
I
Ames
guess
could be
I
tied to the
my
rum
face.
running too.
I have a Lucas poker face right now.
Well, you've given us a lot to play with and a lot to think about.
Yes.
I'm having
Indeed.
fun.
Well, Gail, thank you for staying up late at night. Just like hovering over this mystery. Oh my God.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
It was a blast. It's a blast. Well, I'm with you. I think there's going to be another pivot still here. I don't think we've,
Yeah.
I don't think
I think Montague's still a bad guy, but I think that there's something else going on.
there's something else in Lucas
It's
Bouchard
only
fashion.
episode 7. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well,
See, that's why I say
Yep.
there's still more episodes, so there's got to be something going on.
Bad guys like to hang out together, so there's probably more of them.
Right, right.
Someone should
And
do a
Paul-
board of all our bad guys, you know, in the past. And
Oh.
Wow, there would be a lot.
well, we're
be a
always thinking
lot.
of them, and honestly, we would love to find ways to bring.
Yeah, a
Love it
few
when we
more
can
of
find ways
back.
to bring them back. So yeah.
And Paul, what a great episode. And we're just excited about all the pivots that the writers are gonna, all the additional
Yeah.
twists and turns that we're gonna be on. And we're sending you great vibes. You're in the midst of writing episode 12.
You're an inspiration to know that.
Oh, good. Yeah, we had such a sweet talk with Elise Late Rogers last week, and it was such an aha moment for us how energized she was
Yeah.
by our attention to detail. Like
Yeah.
she was just like, you can't know what that means to me, like it just really, and that is really neat, this relationship with the fans that if we're picking up what you're, painstakingly writing. So it does matter. I know in the worst writer moments in the middle of the night when you think it isn't going to come together, we're there. We're there
Yep.
for you. We're cheering you on. So
I feel it. Yep.
thank you. Thank you for taking time out of that to be with us. And thank you, Hearties, for tuning in, for tweeting with us with the hashtag Hearties, for watching the Hallmark Channel every Sunday night during the season, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. and for subscribing to our YouTube channel, because you don't want to miss. They're coming very quickly. We're going to have another one with Stacey Harding, the director. We've got Ned and Flo coming. I mean, there's many more to come this season. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Heart to Hearties.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.